Hello and welcome to Learn with Hema's class. My dear students, today we are going to do a lesson of mathematics of class 7, lesson number 9, direct proportion and inverse proportion. We shall be doing two exercises, that is practice set number 37 and practice set number 38. Now let us start with the first exercise. This is an example. First we will be doing an example to understand what is direct proportion. Now direct proportion, this is just an example. In your textbook there is a different example. This example is also there, but in your textbook you have the diameters wala exercise example. The number of sweets that some students received on the Independence Day is shown in the table below. That is, some students have received some sweets on the Independence Day, and this table shows over here. You can see this table over here. 5 students received 10 sweets, 10 students received 20 sweets, 20 students 40 sweets, and 30 students 60 sweets. If we try to see the ratio, number of students upon the number of sweets, if we try to see the ratio of number of students upon number of sweets, what we get is 5 upon 10, you will get 5 ones are 5, 5 twos are 10. That is, when you divide this fraction 5 upon 10, you get the answer 1 upon 2. Same way, if there are 10 students, 20 sweets are distributed, that is 10 upon 20, 10 upon 20 you get, if you divide this fraction 10 upon 20, again you get 10 ones are 10 and 10 twos are 20. So again you get 1 upon 2. Then next you have 20 students, 40 sweets are distributed among 20 students. So 20 upon 40, that means this also if we cut, so 20 ones are 20 and 20 twos are 40. So here also we get 1 upon 2 the fraction. And the next, if there are 30 students, then 60 chocolates are distributed, 60 sweets are distributed. That is, if we look at this alone fraction 30 upon 60, and if we try to divide it, we get 30 ones are 30 and 32s are 60. That is, again we get the fraction 1 upon 2. That means whatever be the numbers, throughout we are getting the fraction 1 upon 2. That is, in the above example, all the ratios remain the same or constant, that is 1:2. Now, all the ratios, 5 upon 10, 10 upon 20, 20 upon 40, 30 upon 60, all these ratios remain the same, and the ratio is 1:2. If the ratio of any two quantities remains same or constant, see, this is very important for you all to learn. If the ratio of any two quantities remains same or constant, any two quantities. Now here we have students and sweets, right? Here we have students and sweets. So it can be anything. So if the ratio of any two quantities remains same or constant, then the two quantities are said to be in direct proportion. Then these two quantities are said to be in direct proportion. Why? Because their ratio is same. Because their ratio is constant. If we learn ahead, indirect proportion, you can see indirect proportion, if the value of first quantity is increased, then the value of the second quantity also increases. Just we saw now this thing, hai na? If the number of students increases, we can see over here, if the number of students increases, the number of sweets also increases. And the number of students increases from 5 to 10 to 20 to 30. The number of sweets also increases from 10 to 20 to 40 to 60. But in the same proportion as the first quantity increases, the second quantity increases in the same proportion everywhere throughout. So in direct proportion, here we are. So in direct proportion, if the value of first quantity is increased, then the value of the second quantity also increases. Similarly, if the value of the first quantity is decreased, then the value of the second quantity also decreases. So it is vice versa. That is, if the first quantity increases, the value of first quantity, if it increases, then the second quantity value will also increase. But if the value decreases, then the second quantity's value will also decrease. So it's vice versa. So let's go ahead. Now we shall start with our exercises. So the question over here is, if 7 kg onions cost 140 rupees, how much must we pay for 12 kg onions? So what is given to us? Cost of 7 kg onions is given to us. So first is the quantity. How much quantity? 7 kg. And next is the rupees. How much rupees? 140 rupees. So what we have to see is, we have to see what two things are given. The two things given are the quantity. One is the quantity and the next one is the money, amount, rupees. And what is asked? How much must we pay for 12 kg onions? We are asked how much must we pay for 12 kg onions. That means quantity is given now and we have to find out the rupees, amount. So let us start solution. Let the cost of 12 kg of onions be rupees X, because we want to find out the cost of 12 kg onions. So let us take that the cost of 12 kg of onions be rupees X. Now the quantity of onions, see, this line is very much important. The quantity of onions and their cost, right? First what is given to us? Quantity of onion is given to us and then the cost is given to us. So the first thing is quantity. The quantity of onions and their cost. The second one is cost. The quantity of onions and their cost are in direct proportion. Why in direct proportion? Because if suppose the quantity increases, the cost will also increase, and if the quantity decreases, the cost will also decrease. Therefore, this is in direct proportion. So these two lines are very important to write down. So in any of your question, you have to mention these two lines first. You have to mention whether it is in direct proportion or indirect proportion, giving the statement. So our first statement is, let the cost of 12 kg of onions be rupees X. You can take X, Y, Z, any alphabet which you wish. And the second one is the quantity of onions and their cost. This is a compulsory statement. The quantity of onions and their cost are in direct proportion. Okay, so now we shall solve it out. So this is given to us. 7 kg onions is already given to us. 7 kg onions cost rupees 140 rupees. And now we have to find out the cost for 12 kg of onions, which we have taken it as X. Okay, so going ahead, now what we are going to do is, we are going to do cross multiply. I believe you all know what is cross multiply. 7 into X is equal to 12 into 140. Now we have to find out X. So what we are going to do, X is equal to, let this be same, 12 into 140. We will not multiply it, because anyhow we will have to divide it. So this 7 which is along with X, we are going to divide it here, because 7 is multiplied over here. So it will be divided over here when we change the side of this 7x. So this is 7 ones are 7, and we know that 7 twos are is 14, and this 1 0 we will take here. So therefore X is equal to 12 into 2 is 24, and this 1 0 we will take over here. So X is equal to 240. Right, the value of X we have received 240, but what is X? X is actually the cost of 12 kg onions. Therefore, you must write the answer also. Therefore, we must pay rupees 240 for 12 kg onions. So this answer you have to write anyhow. Okay, so now let us move to the next question. So question number 2. If 600 rupees can buy 15 bunches of feed, how many will 1280 rupees buy? That means what is given? What two things are given? First is rupees 600 rupees, and second is the bunches, that is the quantity. Now here what is given? First rupees has been given, and then next is quantity has been given. And now what is asked to you? How many will rupees 1280 buy? That means now money is given to you. How many bunches will it buy? We have to find out. So what we have to find out, how many bunches it will buy. So first sentence it is going to be, let the bunches of feed bought for rupees 1280 be X. You can mention over here. Okay, let the bunches that rupees 1280, let the bunches of feed bought for 1280 rupees be X. Therefore, the quantity of feed and its cost are in direct proportion, right? The quantity of feed and its cost. Naturally, if the quantity increases, cost also increases. Quantity decreases, cost also decreases. Therefore, the quantity of feed and its cost are in direct proportion. So, what we are going to do? First rupees was given to us and the number of bunches was given next quantity. So, we will always take first is to second quantity. Okay. So, let's start over here. So, as I said, the quantity of feed and its cost are in direct proportion. The cost was given to us. So, the cost was 600 rupees. And how many bunches it could buy? 15. And what is asked us? If 1280 rupees is there, then how many bunches we can buy? That we have taken as X. Therefore, 600 into X is equal to 1280 into 15. This we have done cross multiplied. Okay. Therefore, now we have to find out X. So, let X be here only, and this 600 we will take it on this side and we will divide it with this number 1280 into 15 upon 600. Okay, we will divide like this. Now, let's see, 10 and 10 we will cut. This is the how we can ease our divisions. Now, 15 and 60 we know, 15 ones are 15 and 15 fours are 60. Okay, again 4 we can divide by 128, right? So, 4 ones are 4, we can see 4 threes are 12 and 4 twos are 8. So, we finally get 32 into 1, which is equal to 32. So, the value of X we got is 32. Therefore, X is equal to 32. But what is 32? 32 is the bunches, number of bunches that we can purchase with rupees 1280. Right? Therefore, we have to write the answer. That is, therefore, 32 bunches of feed can be, 32 bunches of feed can be bought for rupees 1280. So, this is our answer. Okay. So, here we complete our this second question. Now, let's move to the next one. So, our question number 3 is, for 9 cows, 13 kg 500 gram of food supplement are required. So, for 9 cows, how much food is required, food supplement? 13 kg 500 gram. And every day. In the same proportion, how much will be needed for 12 cows? Now, in the same proportion, how much will be needed for 12 cows? See, the number of cows increases, the amount of food will also increase. The number of cow decreases, the amount of food will also decrease. So, again, this is a direct proportion, example of direct proportion. So, now we need a cost, the proportion for 12 cows. How much food is required for 12 cows? So, let the food supplement required for 12 cows be Y kg. Now, here it is kg, not rupees, because we want in kg, na? The answer over here is asked 13 kg 500 gram. So, this is the quantity. So, the unit we will have to write as kg, because now we are not finding the cost. Now, we are finding kg. So, this thing also we need to take care of. Let the food supplement required for 12 cows, because we need it for 12 cows, be Y kg. The quantity of food supplements, this line is again important. Remember, the quantity of food supplement required and the number of cows are in direct proportion, right? What is asked us? The quantity of food proportion, right? It is asked us what we have to find out, the quantity of food proportion, food supplement. So, there we start. The quantity of food supplement required and the number of cows are in direct proportion. Therefore, if one thing increases, the other also increases. If one thing decreases, the other also decreases. Now here in the question it is given for 9 cows and here it is asked for 12 cows. So naturally 9 cows is less than 12 cows. So 12 cows, that means we have to find out more. So let us find out the answer. These two lines are very much important for you all to write. First line, let the food supplement required for 12 cows be y kg, and the second line that you have to mention it whether it is in direct proportion or inverse proportion. So this we did. So now let us start with our answer. So our answer is, first is 13 kg 500 gram is given to us of 9 cows, and now y kg we don't know and 12 cows we have to find out, right? For 12 cows we have to find out the food supplement. Now what we are going to do, this kg and gram, right? This is different na? What we are going to do, we are going to 13.500, right? If kg and gram, we will have to convert it into grams, right? So we will take the decimal point. 13.500 will become 13 kg 500 grams upon 9 is equal to y upon 12. So what we are going to do, we are going to remove these units so that we can easily solve our sum. Therefore, what we are going to do now, 13.500 into 12 upon 9 is equal to y, because we have to find out y, right? Therefore, when we multiply like this, see, if you try to find out this thing, division, it is very easy. Now here see 12 and 9, right? Now in the table of 3 we can cut both the numbers. 3 3s are 9 and 3 4s are 12. Now 3 we can divide over here with 13,500. If you want, I can show you on the side. 3 and this is 13.500. So we know that 3 4s are 12. So 13 minus 12 is 1. We have a decimal over here, so we will put a decimal over here also. And we take this 5 down. So but this is 15 as a whole if we take it. 15, not 1.5. So we know that 3 5s is 15. So here we reduce this. And next are 2 0. So we will just add the 2 zeros. 2 zeros we don't need to divide further. So it is 4.500. So 13 ones are and 13 4.500. This is the answer, 4.5. And now this we have to multiply by 4. So 4.5 multiplied by 4 will give you 18. Therefore 18 is equal to y. That is, therefore y is equal to 18 kg. So what our answer should be? Our answer should be, therefore the requirement of food for 12 cows, because we require 12 cows, is 18 kg. Fine, this is our answer. Okay, now the fourth question is, the cost of 12 quintals of soya bean is 36,000 rupees. Okay, 12 quintals of soya bean is 36,000 rupees. How much will 8 quintals cost? What will be the cost of 8 quintals? So let the cost of, now we want to find out the quintals. Now two things are given over here. One is the weight, okay, quantity, and one is the rupees. So here now again the quantity is given and rupees we have to find out. Let the cost of 8 quintals of soya bean be rupees y. Let it be rupees y. It can be anything. You can keep this number x, y, z, anything. So I have taken your y. The quantity of soya beans and their cost. See, the quantity and the cost will always be in direct proportion, right? So the quantity of soya bean and their cost are in direct proportion. That is, if one quantity increases, the other quantity will also increase. So if quantity increases, the price will increase. If quantity decreases, the price will decrease. So this two lines are very important. whenever you write a sentence, whenever you solve a question, these two things you have to, these two sentences are a must that you have to write while solving, because they carry marks. So let us solve now this question. Now we know that 12 kg of quintals cost rupees 36,000, and we have to find out the cost of 8 kg soya bean, and the cost we have kept it as y. Therefore now we are going to cross multiply 12 into y, right? This y will be multiplied with 12 and 36,000 with 8 is equal to 8 into 36,000. Okay, those who know directly, they can do directly, but I am doing it basically for, there are some or many students, you can say, who don't know these kind of equations. So for them I am doing it purposely, the entire thing. Otherwise you can directly write. So what we are going to do, y is equal to, because this 12 will have to take on the other side, we want to find out y, na? So the number along with the y, the variable, we will take on the other side. Now because it is multiplied over here, when we take this number 12 on the other side, it will be divided. So 8 into 36,000 upon 12 we will take. Now we know that 12 ones are 12 and 12 threes are 36. Okay, and the 3 zeros we will add over here. So we have 12 into 3000 is equal to 36,000. So 36,000, this is cut. Now remaining 8 into 3. 8 into 3 is 24, and this is 3 zeros as it is, we will add over here. Therefore the answer is y is equal to 24,000 rupees. So this is what we wanted. We wanted the cost of 8 quintal of soya bean. So therefore the cost of 8 quintal of soya bean will be rupees 24,000. So this is your answer for the fourth question. Now we shall go forward for the fifth question. So now the fifth question that you can see is, now the fifth question. 2 mobiles cost 16,000 rupees. How much money will be required to buy 13 such mobiles? Now the cost of 2 mobiles is given. So one is the mobile, number of mobile, quantity, and the other one is the cost. Right? So two things are given. Two things are given to us. This we have found out. 2 mobiles cost rupees 16,000. How much money will be required to buy 13 such mobiles? So one quantity to the cost. Quantity to cost. This is the scene over here. Now we want to find out the cost for 13 such mobiles. So let the cost of 13 mobiles be y rupees. We have to take anything. You can write here x also, y also, z also, anything. So let the cost of 13 mobiles be y rupees. The quantity of mobiles and their cost are in direct proportion. So the first sentence will be, let the cost of 13 mobiles be y rupees, and the second sentence will be, the quantity of mobiles and their cost are in direct proportion. Right? The quantity of mobile and their cost. More the quantity, more the cost, less the quantity, less the cost, and therefore this is going to be in direct proportion. Okay, so we shall start with our equation over here. So the equation will start that 2 mobiles cost rupees 16,000, and now we have to find out the cost of 13 mobiles, which we have taken as y. Therefore we will do again cross multiply, that is 2 multiply by y. Y we have taken along with 2 over here, which is and equal to 13 into 16,000. Therefore, this y will remain here only, and this 2 we will take on the other side. Now 2 is multiplied over here. So what we are going to do? We are going to divide it on the other side. That is 13 into 16,000 upon 2. Now you can see in the table of 2, 16 comes 8 times. So 2 ones are 2 8s are 16 and the 3 zeros are there, so that we will keep it as it is. Okay. So 13 into 8,000, this thing, and then if we multiply this 13 into 8, 13 into 8 is 104, 104, 13 8s are, and these 3 zeros are there, so we will add them as it is. So y is the cost of 13 mobiles. Okay, so what our answer is going to be? The question they have asked is find the cost of 13 such mobiles. Therefore 104,000 rupees will be required to buy 13 mobiles. This is our answer. This we have completed exercise number 37. So let's start with the exercise number 38, which is inverse proportion. Now the thing which we did over here in this exercise was direct proportion, where the two quantities which are given, if one quantity increases, the other one also increases, or if one quantity decreases, the other quantity also decreases, and therefore the two are always in the same ratio. The two quantities are always in the same ratio. That we said as direct proportion. Now let us learn about inverse proportion. So let's learn about inverse proportion. Now let's see the example. Number of students and days needed to complete the project. You can see the number of students. This is 5 is given over here, but it is actually 6. So there is a printing mistake over here. This is actually 6. The number of students is 6 and the days needed to complete the project is 10. So if the number of students decreases to 2, the number of days increases to 30. Right? If one thing increases over here, the other thing decreases. Right? So here the number of students have decreased, and therefore the days needed to complete the work have increased. Then the number of students have increased, 15. They have become 15. Therefore days needed have reduced to 4. Again number of students have increased to 20. So days reduced have days required have reduced to 3. So what we can see over here, whether the number increases or the other number decreases, the product of these two is going to be the same. In direct proportion, what we saw is the ratio of the two quantities remains the same. Here what we see is the product of the two quantity remains the same. Why the product? Because here it is the work done. Here we are talking about the work done. Here the work done is to complete the project. Now whether 10 students come together or 20 students come together, they are going to do the same project. So the work is defined, work is limited. So only that work we have to do. So as we increase the number of people on that work, the number of days reduces, or as we decrease the number of people doing that work, the work increases. Now you can see over here 6 into 10 or 2 into 30 or 15 into 4 or 20 into 3 all are equal to 60. Therefore, the number of students and the days needed to complete the project are in inverse proportion. Therefore, this is called, because their product are same, therefore this is said to be inverse proportion. If the product of any two quantities remains constant or same, then the two quantities are said to be in inverse proportion. So, if the product of any two quantities, this is very important again, if the product of any two quantities remains same or constant, then the two quantities are said to be in inverse proportion. In inverse proportion, if the value of the first quantity is increased, see, if the value of the first quantity is increased, then the value of the second quantity decreases. So the other quantity will decrease and vice versa, right? Now let us go ahead with the examples. So the first question over here is question number 1. 5 workers take 12 days to weed a field. How many days would 6 workers take, and how many would 15 take? Now here there is, in one question there 2 questions are asked. If 5 workers take 12 days to weed a field, 5 workers take 12 days, field is going to be the same, right? Field is only 1. So field is not going to increase or decrease. But if we increase or decrease the workers, so the time taken will definitely act accordingly. It will be increased or decreased. If we increase the workers, the time required will be less. If we decrease the workers, the time required will be more. So what is asked? How many days would 6 workers take? 6 workers, that means we have increased the number of workers. Therefore, the number of days required by the workers to complete the work will be reduced. So let us learn that thing. So for what we are going to do, let 6 workers take X days. Now we don't know, na? So let us tell that 6 workers take X days and 15 workers take Y days, because we have to find out for 15 workers also. So let 15 workers take Y days to weed the field. The number of workers and the time required to weed the field are in inverse proportion. This line is very important. The number of workers and the time required to weed the field are in inverse proportion. This is very important, that we have to mention it, that whether this is a inverse proportion or direct proportion. Now here we know the field is constant. Field is not going to change. That is the work, the amount of work that is to be done is not going to be changed. It's going to remain constant. Only the other factors, that is the number of workers and the number of days required, that will change. The field, the work is not going to change. Therefore, this kind of questions will be of inverse proportion. So the second line which I said, the number of workers and the time required to weed the field, this is very important. The number of workers and the time required to weed the field, or you can write the days required to weed the field, are in inverse proportion. So let's now start with the answer to this question. So let us start. We know that 6 into x will be equal to 5 into 12. Why? Because 5 workers takes 12 days, right? So 5 into 12 and 6 into x will be equal. So let us find x. X is equal to 5 into 12. What we are going to do? We will take this 6 on the other side. Because 6 is multiplied with x, we are going to divide it over here. So we have 6 ones are 6 and 6 twos are 12. Right? Division. Now 5 twos are is 10. Therefore, x is equal to 10. X is what? The number of days which will be required for 6 workers. Okay, this was the first thing. So this is 10 days. X is 10 days. Also, now we have to find out for 15 days, right? For 15 into y is equal to again 5 into 12. The same original proportion we have to take. Okay, so y we have to find out. So 15 we will take on the other side. That is 5 into 12 upon 15. We can see now 5 ones are 5, 5 threes are 15. We can divide. But again we can divide 3 and 12. So 3 ones are 3 and 3 fours are 12. That means 1 into 4 is 4. Therefore here y is equal to 4 days. That means if we increase the workers to 15, the number of days required to weed the field will be 4. And if we keep the workers 6, the number of days required will be 10. So we can write the answer like this. We can write the answer. Therefore, 6 workers will take 10 days and 15 workers will take 4 days to weed the field. So this is your answer. Okay, so now let us move to the next question. So next question is, Mohan Rao took 10 days to finish a book. Okay, Mohan Rao took 10 days to finish a book, reading 40 pages every day. He read 40 pages every day. How many pages must he read in a day to finish it in 8 days? Actually, the question is, how many pages must he read in a day to finish it in 8 days? The question continues over here. So, I'll read the question again. Mohan Rao took 10 days to finish a book. A book is there now something. The work is to read a book, complete book. Now, book is one complete thing, right? The number of days required to complete, to read the book completely, that is going to change the factors. So, what is the other factor? One factor is the number of days which is required to complete the book, okay, by reading. And the other factor is how many pages you read per day. So, in the question it was said, he takes 10 days if he reads 40 pages a day. He takes 10 days if he reads 40 pages a day. So, what will be the actual product? That is 10 into 40. 10 into 40 is 400. And now, how many pages must he read if he has to complete the book in 8 days? That is, in 8 days he has to complete the same book. That means the number of days have reduced. Therefore, the number of pages to be read is going to be increased. So, let us see how we are going to write this thing. The first sentence should be, let Mohan Rao read X pages every day to finish the book in 8 days. Okay. So, we have taken it as X. Now, the second line is again important. The number of pages read per day and the days required to finish the book are in inverse proportion. Because book is one and the same. Right. So, the number of pages read per day. The number of pages read per day and the days required to finish the book are in inverse proportion. So, let's see how we are going to solve this sum. The sum goes like this. The first two lines as it is we are supposed to write the same way which we have written over here. Therefore, 8 into x is equal to 10 into 40 because we want how many days will be required, how many pages we must read if we have to complete it in 8 days. So, 8 into the number of pages will give you 10 into 40. 10 days, 40 pages per day. So, our answer should be x is equal to 10 into 40 upon, because we have to find out x. So, what we are going to do? We are going to take this 8 on the other side. Because 8 is multiplied over here, it is a product over here, 8 is multiplied by x, we will take it to the other side and divide it. So, 8 is divided over here. So, now we can see 8 ones are 8 and 8 fives are 40. Right? 8 fives are 40. We have divided it like this. So, now this 10 into 5 we have 50. So, how many pages a person will have to read? Mohan Rao will have to read. Therefore, so it is 50 pages actually. You can write over here. So, the answer is Mohan Rao will have to read 50 pages every day. This is every day to finish the book in 8 days. So, this is the answer for the second question. Now let us move ahead to the next question. The third question is now, Mary cycles at 6 km per hour. How long will she take to reach her aunt's house, which is 12 km away? If she cycles at a speed of 4 km per hour, how long would she take? Now here also two questions are asked. Okay. Now it is said that Mary cycles at 6 km per hour. Okay. What it is said? That Mary cycles at 6 km per hour. Fine. And how long will she take to reach her aunt's house, which is 12 km away? So how much distance she has to travel? She has to travel 12 kilometers. And she is traveling 6 km per hour. And 6 km per hour, that means she will reach in 2 hours 12 km. Just like that only we can make out, not 12 kilometers. But if she cycles at a speed of 4 km per hour, that means if she reduces her speed, then how much time will she take? She will take more time, right? Because first it was 6 kilometers per hour, she took 2 hours. So now the speed is reduced to 2 kilometers per hour. The speed is reduced by 2 kilometers. Therefore, how long will she take? That we will have to find out. Now this type of question is a little different type of question. So this type of questions can be asked in the examination for 4 marks or 5 marks. Distance travelled to reach her aunt's house is 12 kilometers. Okay. To her aunt's house, how much distance required? Distance travelled to reach her aunt's house is 12 kilometers. What is the speed of the cycle? 6 km per hour. And what is the formula for speed? Speed is equal to distance upon time. And therefore time will be equal to distance upon speed, right? If we take this time over here, then speed will take its place. So time is equal to distance upon speed. This is the formula. So how much time will she take? Distance is 12 km and her speed was 6 km per hour. Therefore time she will take is 2 hours. Okay. Now let the time required when the speed of the cycle is 4 km per hour be x hours. So this thing we have to write. Now till here it was in the question only. Okay, we have tried to put it out in a proper way from the question. Now from here we start the answer. Let the time required when the speed of the cycle is 4 km per hour be x hours. So let the time required be x hours if the speed is 4 km per hour. The speed of the cycle and the time needed to travel the same distance. See, it is same distance, right? The speed of the cycle, okay, the speed of the cycle and the time needed to travel the same distance are in inverse proportion. Because distance is same. If you reduce your speed, you will take a longer time. If you increase your speed, you will take a lesser time. So, if this kind of situation is there, this is an inverse proportion. So, here you can say they are in inverse proportion. The speed of the cycle and the time needed to travel the same distance. They are in inverse proportion. So, let us see how we can solve it out. So, by starting, so if it is 4 km per hour, how much time it will take? So we have taken it x, and if it is 6 km per hour, she takes 2 hours, right? So we have to find out x over here. X will be, this we write as it is, 6 into 2 upon. Now this 4 is multiplied with x. So what we are going to do? We are going to take it down over here, divide it. Therefore x is equal to, now let us divide this. We know that 2 1s are 2 and 2 2s are 4, and again we can do 2 1s are 2 and 2 3s are 6. So we can divide like this. So this is 3 hours, right? So x is equal to 3 hours. So what we are going to write, our answer is Mary will require 2 hours if she is cycling at 6 km per hour and 3 hours if she is cycling at 4 km per hour to reach her aunt's house. See, these answer statements are again equally important. They are said to be the finishers. The answer statements are said to be the finishers. They are equally important when you solve your maths. Okay, the next question is, the stock of grain in a government warehouse lasts 30 days for 4,000 people. Now the stock of grain in a government warehouse, the stock is limited, okay, and it lasts for 30 days for 4,000 people. That means if 4,000 people it has to feed, it can last for 30 days. How many days will it last for 6,000 people? Now what we are going to do, we are going to increase the number of people. If the number of people are increased, that naturally the number of days that it will last will be reduced. If one factor is increased, the other factor will be reduced. So let us start. Let the stock of grain last for X days for 6,000 people. Now we have to find out the number of days, right? So let the stock of grain last for X days for 6,000 people. And the next sentence will be, the number of people and the days for which the stock will last are in inverse proportion. So this is again very important. The number of people and the days for which the stock will last. The number of people and the days for which the stock will last are in inverse proportion. So let us start now this sum. Let us do this. So now what we are asked is, for 6,000 people, how many days? So we have taken it as X, and we know that for 4,000 people, it will last 30 days, right? So therefore, now we have to find out X, right? So what we are going to do? 4,000 into 30, we have written it same, and this 6,000 we will bring here, we will divide here. Now first thing what we are going to do is, we are going to cut all the zeros. 1 0 we will cut with here, second 0 here, third 0 here. This kind, like this we will cut all the zeros. Now we know that 3 1s are 3 and 3 2s are 6. Again 2 1s are 2 and 2 2s are 4 and this 1 0. That means for 20 days the answer is, because 20 into 1 is 20. So answer what we have to write is, the stock of grain will last for 20 days for 6,000 people. So with this we complete our practice set number 38 also.